They were trapped in a cursed house. Initially, they wanted to steal valuables in the house, but horror happened to them. They couldn't even get out of the house, and the only way was by terrible means. This woman's name was Laura. At that time, she was with her mother, who was lying weak at home. Not long after, she got a call from her brother named Chris. They were planning something that seemed serious, even though Laura didn't seem to want to do it. Laura worked at a small cafe. At that time, she was still there in the middle of the night, and it was time to close. An old man told her to be careful and be herself, but Laura didn't understand what he meant. When she was about to close the cafe, suddenly there was someone standing in front of the door. His appearance was shabby and messy while banging on the door. Laura was scared, then the figure disappeared. On the other hand, Chris was with his girlfriend named Lisa, but at that time, Chris had a nightmare. He saw Lisa covered in blood while holding a knife and preparing to finish him off. The nightmare was not without reason. Several years ago, Chris and Laura planned to rob the house of a teacher who used to teach Chris. Chris had a grudge that he wanted to vent by stealing some of her valuables. Chris entered his teacher's room named Mrs. Wong and found Mrs. Wong awake. Chris hid behind the door, while Laura waited downstairs and saw Mrs. Wong approaching her. Mrs. Wong saw Laura's hiding place and threatened her, but soon Chris appeared and shot Mrs. Wong to death. He did not mean to do that. Now Chris plans to rob another house. Unfortunately, they still need more members. Lisa went to the toilet and got a terrible terror. A hand appeared under the toilet door until she was scared and returned to Chris. She saw Chris talking to a man named Andy. Andy was invited by Chris to become their member. Initially, Chris explained to Andy to make a documentary about a house that was going to be sold by the owner, but in the end, he invited Andy to rob the house. From there, they went to the house. Chris, Andy, Lisa, and Laura. The four of them were already there. The owner invited them to enter the house first. Andy had already acted first, while Chris asked Laura and Lisa to look for valuables that could be taken home. Chris looked for Andy, Lisa, and Laura through the house and found the basement door. There they found a box tied with ropes. Laura untied the ropes and then opened the box. A lot of black smoke came out, which scared them. Since that incident, they began to see strange things. Lisa and Laura saw a black figure appear and go, while Chris and Andy found a woman's body lying in a room. They gathered in the living room, and not long after, a man named Lucas appeared. He was the owner of the house. Lucas thanked them for coming there to document his house. But there are several rules they must obey, one of which is not to go to the basement and open the chest there. The problem is, Lisa and Laura have done it. Lucas suddenly acted strangely. He took a knife, then killed Laura, followed by Chris and the others. Then suddenly, Laura felt time go back when they entered the house, while the others did not realize it. Laura began to wonder what was going on. Everything that happened was exactly the same as what she experienced at the beginning before she was killed by Lucas. The incident happened over and over again. Laura tried to change the flow by talking frankly to Lucas. It turned out that Lucas also experienced it when he just moved into the house. The house used to be inhabited by a rich man who employed women as maids in his house. But he treated her rudely, so the woman prayed to the devil to curse anyone who lived in the house. Laura and Lucas finally talked about this problem to the others, until Andy had an idea to prepare themselves if something bad happened, including the ghost of the woman. Unfortunately, they were no match. One by one, they were separated and faced their own fears. Chris met the ghost of Mrs. Wong and was killed, while Andy was seduced by Laura's duplicate until something bad happened there. Likewise with Laura, but when Laura died, the plot would return again. The only way was for Laura to kill the person closest to her so that she would be free. In other words, she had to kill Chris. When that happened, the black smoke that had come out went back into the coffin. Then Lucas's past was shown with his wife, who also experienced the same thing. Lucas turned out to have died because he was killed by his own wife as a form of sacrifice. After that incident, Laura, Andy, and Lisa returned to their normal days. But different from Chris, at that time there was a young couple who would occupy the house, and the owner was Chris. Chris would do what Lucas did to be free from the curse.